Hello everybody, and welcome to How to Solo Queue. In this video, I'll tell you the best ways you can improve your team's performance when you solo queue in Overwatch. These strategies helped me climb from Platinum to Diamond without ever stacking up with friends. Other videos talk about the best heroes to pick, or things like that, but I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to address what I think is the greater issue. Not how you can play better in solo queue, but how you can get your team to play better. This video focuses on communication with your team, since, for better or worse, you're stuck with 5 random players and need to make the best of it. So, without further ado, here are my tips for how to make your team play better in solo queue. Tip number 1. Warm up the team chat. As soon as you join the match, try to get everyone to join the team voice chat. The main reason players don't join team chat is because they're in a party with their friends and don't want to switch from the group chat to the team chat. I like to ask, "Can everyone join team chat please?" in text to respectfully remind everyone to join team chat. This request also shows the other players that you'll actually use the team chat to coordinate during the match. Next, set the tone of the team chat. Say something like, "How's it going everyone?" to get other players comfortable using the chat. You should also pay attention to which players don't respond, since that tells you they probably don't have a microphone. For instance, if everyone replies except your team's tracer, then you know not to expect callouts about flankers. This tip seems really simple and almost silly, but I guarantee it'll help your team coordinate better and win more matches. Tip number 2. Talk about team composition. Team composition is hugely important in Overwatch, and it's especially difficult to get right in the solo queue. We've all had a match where everyone refuses to heal, or when you have 3 snipers, or whatever. While you can never guarantee that your team will have a good composition, you can do a surprising amount to help. As soon as your team is in voice chat and warmed up, ask, "How's our team composition look?" to get the conversation started. Don't start with a criticism like, "Don't play Hanzo," or "Ana sucks, switch to Mercy," or anything like that. That forces your teammates to be defensive, which ruins the chance they'll switch to a more appropriate hero. If you tell your Hanzo he's bad at Hanzo, he'll spend the rest of the match trying to show off how good he is at Hanzo. Nobody wants that. If you happen to have good team composition, then you're done here. If not, at least one player will need to switch. Start with general observations about the team composition and ask if anyone can fill a role you're missing. For instance, if you need a second tank, just ask, "Is anyone able to play tank? We really need another one." Oftentimes, someone will be happy to switch. Every player has their own hero preferences, so finding the optimal composition is a really difficult matching problem. The best way to solve this problem is to talk, which most solo queue teams won't even do. Of course, this means that you yourself have to be flexible. If you really can only play one hero, then admit that to your team. Otherwise, focus on team composition over your own preferences. I've heard the argument that you should pick your best hero to carry no matter what, but I think that argument is simply wrong. Don't play a hero you're not competent at, but remember that you're no more important than any of your teammates. If nobody volunteers to switch heroes, then politely call out specific players and ask them if they think they can be more effective as another hero. As long as you make clear that you're not doubting the player's skills, they usually won't get mad. If the player says they only play their current hero or otherwise refuses to switch, ask another player. Often you'll have to shuffle around several players to get this to work. This sort of round-robin hero picking is hard to do in the 60 seconds before the match starts, but it is possible, even in solo queue, if your team's already warmed up in chat. Tip number 3. Focus on the game. Communication is extremely important in Overwatch. In addition to calling out when an enemy ults and where you are, you need to plan coordinated attacks and move as a group. For this reason, you should cut out most chatter that's not about the game. Don't get me wrong, a bit of banter can do wonders to keep the team loose and keep everyone happy, but you can't let the chat get filled with random chatter. The main problems I run into are criticisms of the game and criticisms of your teammates. If a teammate starts complaining about a nerf or a buff in a recent patch, politely cut them off and remind them to focus on the game. Something like, "Yeah, that sucks, let's focus on the match right now and talk about that after," usually works. Again, be polite so your teammates don't feel obligated to defend themselves, but don't let them get started. It's distracting to your team, and more importantly, it prevents anyone else from making callouts or coordinating. If a teammate starts complaining about another teammate, it's harder to get the chat back on track. If the complaint is valid, like someone needing to switch heroes to counter the enemy team's composition, You should ask the criticized player politely if they can switch. Otherwise, you need to tread the line between making the person complaining feel validated so they stop complaining, and upsetting the criticized player so they have to argue back. I don't have a universal solution here, but something like, yeah, Bastion isn't very effective here, but he's not going to change, so we need to make the best of it, works well enough. If a teammate criticizes you, then acknowledge their complaint, but do not throw an insult back at them. As they say, don't feed the trolls. I've seen arguments get out of control, but all you need to do is avoid escalating it at the start. Now, if you can call ults, picks, and strats, then do it. I've been hesitant to make calls because I worry that my team will judge me or that someone else would be better at making calls, but most of the time, you'll be the only one who even steps up to take that responsibility. Honestly, mediocre calls are better than no calls at all. If you're not comfortable making these callouts, you can ask someone else to do it, or ask specific questions like, should we move in now? If you have a question, just ask. That wraps up my 3 best tips for solo queuing in Overwatch. I'll cover more specific hero strategies, meta picks, and stuff like that in later videos, but these 3 tips will get you well on your way to successful placement matches in Season 3 and beyond. If you have any strategies of your own, please write them in the comments. If you liked or disliked this video, please give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and consider subscribing for more Overwatch content. Thanks for watching, and good luck out there.
Time to raise my APM!